When you're looking for Whirlpool innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified Whirlpool appliances save you energy and money and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Hi, I'm John Mallison. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Tuesday morning. Glad to have you along. And today we're going to be talking about the wine industry. It is a huge multi-million, could it be, ladies and gentlemen, a multi-billion-dollar industry here in the state of California. 436 MeTV option 11, talking about one of your favorite subjects, wine. Back in just a moment. Welcome back here to Ventura TV. Of course, today we are live, yesterday on tape with George Hostetter, the Fresno Bee, and what a great interview, a great insight to what is going on at City Hall with all of the political issues. And today they go to court to talk about the issue about the water rates, which obviously doubled in the month of September. And I also want to say a big shout out today to Gene and Dean Nicholson of Sanger. They had a very successful banquet and they honored them. It was actually Gene and Dean Nicholson Day on Saturday in the city of Sanger. Well, you know, today I'm going to proclaim Gene and Dean Nicholson Day right here at Ventura TV. They have done so much for the city of Sanger the last 40, 50, 60 years. Keep doing your thing, Gene and Dean. You're a great asset to that community out there. Anyway, today we're talking about one of your and one of my favorite topics is the issue of wine producing winemakers right here in the Central Valley. And when a lot of people think of wine, they may not think of the San Joaquin Valley as a big wine producer. And you know, wine is a funny kind of thing because it's like, do you like Coke? Do you like Pepsi? Do you like white wine? Do you like red wine? Let's go to the videotape. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. There is the bottling aspect of the wine industry. There are thousands and thousands and thousands, my friends, of brands of wine to choose from. Each person has their own preference in terms of taste, in terms of color. Is it too sweet? Is it too sour? Is it somewhere in between? What do you like? What do you prefer? Remember, there is no right way or wrong way to choose a bottle of wine. And really, my friends, there is no right way or wrong way to drink a glass of wine, as you see here. As long as you do it in moderation, you don't drink and drive. You may find this hard to believe, but the San Joaquin Valley produces about 27% of all wine here in California. By contrast, we understand that Napa only has about 4%. Further, 60 to 65% of all the wine produced is done within a 100-mile radius of the city of Fresno. Some of the biggest winemakers in California right here in our own backyard, places like Gallo, Bronco, the Wine Group, Constellation Brands, and many more. The wine industry is a multi-million, it could be a multi-billion-dollar industry as I speak today. To learn more about what's going on in the world of wine, we're going to be talking about that in the next few minutes. Live in our studio right now is Peterangelo Vallis. He is the Executive Director of the Wine Growers Association right here in the San Joaquin Valley. He is waiting here very patiently to take your phone calls at 436 MeTV. So when do you have a glass of wine? At dinner, when you come home from work? Well, like I said, it's the choice. Is it Coke? Is it Pepsi? Is it white wine? Is it red wine? When do you choose? How do you choose? We'll talk about all those issues. 436 MeTV, option 11. We're back with our Focus on Business today in just a moment.
Now, why don't you tell us the whole story right from the beginning? All right, from the beginning. This is the city, Los Angeles, California. My name's Friday. I carry a badge. Police officers.
You any idea who the other man was?
My partner's Bill Gannon.
Program?
We got just one big question.
Yeah.
When?
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
All right, I want to stress here very carefully, too. Don't drink and drive. We're not advocating that today. If you drink, drink in moderation. Do it as a responsible adult. All right, peterangelo Vallis is here, Executive Director of the, the Wine Growers?
San Joaquin Valley Wine Growers Association.
You got it, man. That's a great title. I love that. How long have you been doing that?
Oh, about 5 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
About 5 years running the association, and we represent all the grapes and wine from Stockton all the way down south of Bakersfield.
Okay.
So roughly 70% of all the wine in California.
All right. Moi, I'm not a wine connoisseur. In fact, I'm a total novice. I know very little about wine. So what's the misnomer about the San Joaquin Valley? Why? I mean, I was under the preconceived idea that, hey, Napa produces most of the wine, not us. Why is that perception out there when it's not reality?
It's a kind of a historical reason. We've been growing grapes and making wine here in the valley since the 1880s.
Wow.
And it's a long time.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of all the wines and grapes out of California have traditionally come from the San Joaquin Valley, at least after Los Angeles got out of the business of growing things. That used to be the premier place in California for grapes. Well, Napa, during the Prohibition, pretty much lost all their vineyards. Their grapes could not compete with grapes from other parts of the state because they weren't strong enough to be sent back east to be turned into home wine, which was the only way people
Was it the weather in Napa that
Yeah,
had
it's a little
something to do with it?
cold there. It's a little cold. The soils aren't quite the same. There's other issues going on. So after Prohibition, I'm giving a long story here as short as I can, all the wine that was then produced was generally sweet wines and made as cheaply and fast as possible to take care of the demand that had been pent up for the 14, 15 years of Prohibition.
Okay.
So when the Napa guys decided that they wanted to differentiate themselves from the rest of the wine industry, they started marketing Napa as a place for serious wine. And that was done in the 60s and 70s. And so they put a lot of their time and effort into marketing Napa as something different from everything else.
So you just touched on something. I'll bet it's marketing. They market better than we do, right?
They market more than we do. So, for example, there are 6,500 wineries in the state of California.
Wow.
A good quarter of them are based in Napa and or Sonoma. So you have a lot of voices creating a lot of chatter for a very small proportion of the wine industry. Napa only produces about 4%.
Public relations.
PR is key because you're talking about a beverage.
Yeah.
You know, Budweiser is the king of beers, not because it's the best beer on the market.
No, but their PR campaign is incredible.
Exactly. So you have, a couple thousand wineries in Napa talking about 4% of the industry,
Right.
whereas you have about 40 to 50 wineries here in the valley producing 70% of the industry, but you would never know that.
Well, see, like Budweiser, they have the Clydesdales, okay?
Right.
So what can we, here in the San Joaquin Valley, attach ourselves to in terms of a PR campaign like the Clydesdales, the Budweiser commercials, all of those, especially during the holidays? They're very effective.
Totally effective. And what's very interesting is the wine industry as a whole has been reluctant to promote wine in the same way that beer obviously promotes beer.
No, it's not every minute.
Or spirits promote spirits, because the wine industry has always taken the approach in marketing that we are different and we are not alcohol. We're a wine, we're a food, we're something different. Whereas realistically, for the San Joaquin Valley, we're a beverage. We want everyone to moderately drink a glass or two of wine a night because that's good for us.
Is that, from the wine industry, is that a little arrogant on their part to think, hey, we don't have to market, we're different than beer?
To a degree, in America, we have a different culture of drinking than in other
Like
societies,
in Europe or
like
something,
in Europe
yeah.
or even South America, where wine is different than spirits and beer in that wine is your meal beverage.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do. You have it with dinner, you have it with lunch. It just goes with the food, helps you digest.
I was just fascinated when I went to Greece a few years ago for the first time. I mean, they drink a glass of wine as if it's water. No problem.
Oh, yeah.
And it's part of their diet, it's part of their everyday existence. We're here, I'm not sure it really is, because we're always talking about, hey, drinking and driving, it's bad for your health, it's bad for your liver, don't become an alcoholic. So you have all of those in front of us before we even get to the wine glass. Is that part of the problem?
That's part of the problem. In America, only 30% of adults drink. Period.
Right.
That's a very low percentage of the population compared to other areas. So there is a cultural disdain in the United States for drinking in general, and wine drinking, while it seems to be a popular thing, people are going to wine tastings, this, that, and the other, it's still a smaller percentage of the population than anyone who does choose to drink wine would ever care or even know to admit.
Right. And, you know, I mean, look, part of this is being a responsible adult. Nobody here is advocating going out and drinking wine and getting drunk and getting behind the wheel. That's not what we're saying. Be a responsible adult. Well, it's okay to drink if you're responsible. It's just like anything else.
Well, of course. But here's the thing, John. You know, you're talking about, hey, we're not advocating drinking wine. Well, actually, I do advocate drinking wine in moderation.
No. I'm not advocating. No, what I said was not advocating drinking and getting behind the wheel.
Well, of course. Okay. But see, that's where the conversation tends to go. There's no conversation of it's okay to have a glass of wine. Leave it at that.
If that's your preference,
go ahead and do it.
Go ahead and do it. Just like if you want to drink a Coke or if you want to have a pizza.
Exactly.
But be responsible.
But nobody.
Are you going to sit down and eat 20 pizzas, or are you going to eat one?
But when you go down and you go out for pizza, or you're talking about pizza or Coca-Cola, hey, don't drink so many that you're going to get diabetes. You know, you never hear that in the conversation.
True, but it's true.
Wine. Oh, don't drink so much. You're going to get drunk. No.
Right.
No.
Right.
We're not saying that. Just have a glass of wine. It's fine.
Right.
You know, doctors think so.
Enjoy yourself. Be responsible. We're talking with Peterangelo Vallis, 436 MeTV option 11. So before we go to break quickly, how do we get past this perception that the Central Valley is a major wine producer, not only in the state of California, but the entire country?
Well, we have to be able to tell people. That's part of the marketing and PR.
How do we start doing that?
Well, first we have to totally educate the people that live here. In the San Joaquin Valley, we have 9 million people. If all those 9 million people knew that they lived in the capital of wine in the country, anytime one of those 9 million people goes somewhere, guess what? Other people find out. Word of mouth campaign, when you have a population as large as we have, is huge. And so it's imperative that we get out into the public and let people know, hey, grapes just don't mean raisins in Fresno. The largest winemaking facility in the world is right next to the airport. You fly over it every time you come to town.
Right.
You smell it when you get out of the airplane.
Most people don't even know it's Gallo wine.
Exactly.
All right. Well, the campaign has started here. Our live broadcast right now, it goes all the way up north to Atwater. I know because I've been up there and they watch the show. So a good start right here as far as a PR campaign. 436 MeTV option 11. And we're talking about wine, the production of wine. We'll talk more about it. Got quite a few minutes left, another couple of segments. So call in at 436 MeTV option 11. We're back with Peterangelo Vallis in just a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Back here talking about the wine industry, and the focus, of course, is on business today. So we want to put up the quick disclaimer here, and talking about business, and the wine industry is certainly a business, and so is Ventura TV that started back in 1951. And so we just want to put this up to let you know that we try to promote business as much as we can here on the program, because we've been fortunate enough to be around for the better part of 60 years. And so we want to do anything to aid and abet those other businesses here in the Central Valley become as successful as we have been here at Ventura TV. Talking with Peterangelo Vallis about the wine industry, and we do have some videotape. I want to put that up on the screen here. We can talk about the wine production, and I mentioned in the monologue, I mentioned some numbers. So as we take a look at the videotape when it comes up, this is some old footage, trains coming in. Listen, like you said, back in the 1800s they were doing this.
Oh yeah, I mean winemaking's as old as human civilization. Grapes don't last much in their natural form until they start fermenting.
Right. And so take us through the process here. This is obviously Gallo wine and some of their production here. So when the grape comes off the vine, what do they do with it?
They take the grape down to the winery where it's tested for quality. Then it's crushed, mashed up, so you free the juice from the skins, and then you add yeast to it to ferment it and turn it from fruit juice into alcohol.
Okay, and how long a process is that, would you say? It sounds simple when you say it.
It's accurate. Making wine's pretty simple in its basic form, and it takes anywhere from 3 days to 2 weeks, depending on Mother Nature.
And costly as well.
To a degree. It can be, yes.
Yeah, it can be. Another, well, we got a phone call. First one of the day. Good morning. You're on with Peterangelo. Vallis, your question.
Yeah, I'd like to say, what do you say to the guy that handpicks the berry, or let's say who's driving the harvester, and yet he can't afford a bottle of wine? Yet that comes out the end produce.
Okay. Okay, I'll let you pick it up.
Do I pick that up, or do I just answer?
No, you can just answer, yeah.
Oftentimes that can be a problem with many things, whether it's an automobile or a glass of wine, but judging from the prices where you can get a glass of wine a lot cheaper, or a bottle of wine for less than sometimes a 6-pack of beer or a bottle of water, that's something that I think all of us in production agriculture and business and the working community need to work out.
That's a good question. I didn't even think of that until the caller called in. What does an average bottle of wine cost these days?
The state average of wine in America is $5.75.
Yeah, that's not very much at all.
No, it's not.
And that's for a decent bottle of wine.
That's the average price of wine in California. There are good
Right.
wines at $1.99. There are good wines at $150. I mean,
Right.
I'm in the wine industry. I can't afford to drink a lot of those wines.
Yeah.
Because they're quite expensive and they're not a daily beverage.
So it's like the car industry. You have Volkswagens, you have Lamborghinis. Okay, it's the same in the wine industry. You have the Lamborghinis of wines, and you have the Volkswagens of wines, everything in between, right?
And unlike Lamborghini or Volkswagen, the price of wine does not necessitate a difference in quality or a better wine.
Why? Why is that?
Because there's only so much money you can spend making wine before you're paying for other stuff that's not in the bottle.
Oh, I see.
So you start getting into the, $40, $50, $60, $120, $130 range, you're paying for nicer bottles, nicer corks.
Doesn't necessarily mean that the wine's better.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Take another call here. Good morning. You're on. Connect with me. Your
Yeah, good
question.
morning. Hey, John and Peter, a couple of questions. Is, the volume of alcohol, is there more or less in each kind of grape or bottle, or even that is bottled? That's one. And is it more flavor if there's more alcohol in it? Second question,
Okay.
can wine be used to make shish kebab for marinating? And that's all I have for you today for questions. Thank you, John and Peter.
Okay. Hey, thank you for the call. I appreciate it very much. So you got that, the two questions? Yeah.
Okay, to answer those in order, every grape has the potentiality to produce a wine of varying degrees of alcohol. And it's winemaker preference on how much alcohol they want in their wine. For stability...
It's up to who?
The winemaker.
Oh, okay.
Basically, if you pick a average ripe grape and you don't do anything else to it, you'll end up with a wine somewhere between 12 and 13%
Of alcohol.
Okay. And you need to have a wine somewhere between 11 and 14.5% to be what we consider to be stable wine. Below that...
Wait a minute. What does stable? What does stable mean?
Able to store.
Okay.
So if you have less than that, you still have enough fruit juice in there where you have some bacterial problems. And higher alcohol than that, you will kill the yeast before it converts all the sugar into alcohol, and so you have the same issue where you will have an unstable wine.
Right.
Your sweet spot's really between 11.5 and 14.5% alcohol. On to the second question, can you use wine to make shish kebab? I don't make shish kebab, but I do know that you can marinate virtually everything in wine.
Yeah.
And as a culinary trick, I highly recommend washing all meats in white wine or rosé wine to kill any surface bacteria, because wine is a natural antiseptic.
Okay, because of the alcohol.
Because of the alcohol.
Right, and alcohol kills everything.
And then it cooks off.
Yeah, and then it cooks off. There's no question about it. So let me ask you, if you have a bottle of wine And for example, quite a few years ago now, my parents passed away. I found a few bottles of wine that were ancient. Okay. Are those good to drink?
Depends what they are and depends on how they were stored. Up until very recently, wines were made to last several years because traditionally there were transportation problems on getting wine to market, and so you would have to be able to store wine in between the shipments coming in or in between good and bad vintages of the grape. Maybe there was a crop failure, and so you had wines that would store. Well, over the last 20 years, we've fixed those transportation and vintage problems, and so wines today are produced on the whole to make, bottle, and drink, because you can go to the store virtually anywhere and you can buy wine.
Okay.
So it depends how they were stored, what wines they were.
So how do you know? If you have a bottle from the 60s and you open it, how do you know
you
that
taste
it's good?
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little taste is not going to kill you.
No, I mean,
even
it
if
may
it's
not.
bad.
Even if it tastes bad, it won't kill you.
Okay.
Nothing happened in that bottle of wine.
But they say you should store it in cool temperatures.
Yes.
Why? Why?
Because you're dealing with a natural product. And overall, you're talking about fruit juice. Even though it's been fermented and it's been stabilized, the cooler it is, the less likely for any sort of chemical reaction. Because spoilage is a chemical reaction between air and whatever's in there. And air, as an oxidizer, will ruin wine. That's why you have a cork and you put nitrogen in the bottle to keep the air out.
Doesn't mean you have to store it in the fridge for like 30 years, but if you
can.
have a wine cellar.
Yeah, 60 degrees is perfect, 55. Over time, and if the wine was kept well and if it was a good wine to begin with, just because a wine is old and expensive doesn't mean necessarily that it was designed to store.
Yeah, my grandparents had a basement underground is where they stored their
And that's
wines.
usually perfect.
Yeah. It'll last forever under there. Anyway, talking to Peterangelo Vallis from the wine industry. Going to take more of your phone calls, 436 MeTV option 11. Back with more of our program in just a moment.
Remember me?
After practicing law, Raymond Berg fought crime.
You have the right to an attorney.
As a hard-boiled detective on wheels,
Ain't it the truth?
his name is Ironside.
Perhaps you wouldn't mind saying it again.
His name is Ironside.
All right, now you've said it.
Nothing slows him down.
I want to see this one firsthand.
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Now, what are we waiting for?
Back here talking about the wine industry, and before we get any further, I want to talk about this wine cornucopia that's taking place this weekend. We got some pictures, like a slideshow to put up on the screen there, and you brought some tickets as well. Talk about what this event is and what the purpose is.
The cornucopia is our way of demonstrating and showing the people here in Fresno the wines that we have in the valley, the variety of wines we have in the valley, the different brands that we have, and how good those are with food and how much one can enjoy those. Because it doesn't do our area wineries and wine grape growers any good if people here don't know about what we do. And so the cornucopia, now in its 9th year.
And there it is right there up on the screen. I don't know what year that is, but...
Well, see, but the people are happy. That's the goal.
Yeah.
The cornucopia is designed to showcase valley wines, other foods made from valley products, and have valley artists come together to showcase the best of what we do here in the valley in a relaxing atmosphere so people can truly enjoy the wines they're tasting and take something back with them.
All right, another call. Good morning, you're on the air. What's your question?
Yeah, I was watching the show and I saw that you guys had some tickets, and my wife, she loves wine. I don't myself, but I'd like to know if I can get a pair of those.
Yeah.
Okay, what do they cost? Are they free? Or?
Cornucopia tickets are $35 in advance or $40 at the door. They cover all the wine tasting, and there's food tasting, and if people want something heavier, there's some other options there. Nice. And dancing. I think...
there's dancing, too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we have live music.
Okay, live music, bands, everything.
We got bands. We've even got this year, we've got an interesting artisan tequila tasting as part of the deal.
Great.
Okay.
And
hey, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
That first caller, man, that made my day. That cracked me up this morning. I didn't get him at all.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. So where is the cornucopia and what are the times?
The cornucopia is right next to National University and the Fresno Heart Hospital, right at Friant and Fresno Street.
Okay.
45,
This Saturday,
1 to 5. At 45 River Park Place. Tickets are available all over town, and you can get all the information you need by going to our website, which is www.idrinkwine.net.
Okay, and a lot of the winemakers will be there?
Winemakers will be there explaining how they make their wine. If you like their wine, you can actually buy it on your way out.
Oh, okay.
And take some home with you, which is great because so many local wineries don't have good distribution because they're small. And so this is a great way to load up on your favorite stuff for the holidays.
Explain to our viewers, if you can, because this is a huge farming area, farming community. We hear about this on the news all the time. You know, the grapes come off the vine. Oh my God, it's going to rain. It's going to rain in August. It's going to ruin the crop, or it's going to freeze. Okay, tell us what a good crop season is and what a bad crop season is, and how that affects the wine industry.
Okay, you got to think of a grape because it all comes down to the grape. If you have a good grape, you're going to have a good wine. If you have a bad grape, you may not have a good wine. So you want to...
But you need good weather to produce.
You got to have good weather. So
which means this valley produces good weather for wine, for grapes?
Overall, yes, and it's very consistent from year to year.
Okay.
Our weather is very consistent. Yeah, sometimes, it may get a little hot here, or it may get a little cold there. But overall, it doesn't... You're not going to get a flash flood in July.
But the grape needs hot weather, heat,
yes.
Right?
Remember, the grape is native to Turkey.
Oh, okay.
Right in the middle of the Anatolian Peninsula is where grapes come from, which is a desert. It's hot and there's no water. So here in the San Joaquin Valley, it's hot. We got better soil, and we've got irrigation, which means we can control where the water comes. The perfect winter would be, the perfect year would be a winter time that has lots of rain, and then in springtime kind of dry up, and then have medium heat, nice easy heat. If it's nice for you and me, the grapes love it.
Yeah.
Into the spring, let it get warm in the summer, and then let the fall kind of drop down to a little warmer than it is right now until we're done, and then let the rain start again.
That's a good harvest.
That's a good harvest.
All right. If it doesn't turn out like that, does it have a major or minor impact on the wine industry, would you say?
It depends on when the weather changes and depends what happens. If it's too hot too early, you could fry up the crop before it ever grows. If it's too hot too late, it could shrivel them into raisins.
Right.
If it rains right at the optimum point of maturity, it can destroy the grape because grapes don't like water when they're ready to produce. Yeah. So there's a lot of different things Mother Nature can do to throw a wrench into the quality of the wine, which is why here in the valley it's usually pretty good because we have fairly stable weather.
Yeah.
There are other areas of the world where they just don't have that.
How would you describe the year 2013 for the harvest?
It's been pretty good. It's been a pretty good year. It started off being really early. The early varieties were done early. And then because of weather, the later varieties came in just slightly ahead of normal.
Yeah.
So it's been is it the best year ever? No, but I think it'll produce very good quality wine.
And getting back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show, it's public relations, public relations, public relations. But the Central Valley, the San Joaquin Valley, has always had this image problem. We don't promote ourselves properly, and the grape industry seems to be following suit.
Well, you know what? You have to understand place.
Yeah.
You know, look at the promotion of the valley itself. When do you go to another area and when the first thing people talk about Fresno is not that it's the ag capital of the world?
No. We're the butt of jokes.
Exactly. Because as I talked to someone in San Francisco about this very same thing several years ago, the guy said, real simple, you guys aren't San Francisco, you're not Los Angeles, let's face it, you don't want to be, you don't pretend to be. I said, no, that's exactly right. He said, but what you guys are missing is you don't brag about what you are.
And what we have.
As opposed to apologizing for what you're not, just brag about who you are. Because you have every other main ag
Why
city.
do we apologize for who we are?
I never figured that out. You know what?
Do we have to be sorry for who we are?
I don't think so. We got to be proud of it. We produce food for a quarter of all the food in the country comes from here.
Right.
You know, over half of all the wine out of the United States comes from here. The most similar city to Fresno in the world is a place called Lyon, France. It is the ag and money capital of Western Europe.
And do they promote themselves?
Absolutely. They attribute their success for what they do and why no one else gets to do that.
Right.
And it's an interesting thing.
Wow. We need to start doing, got to find a good television crew that can produce this outstanding commercial that can run statewide, even nationwide.
Exactly.
That's how you get the word out, right?
You have to do it, or you have to have some stunts.
Yeah.
You have to have some positive news.
No question about it. Peterangelo Vallis, thank you so much for coming on. And by the way, congratulations on a very successful Greek food festival this year. I know
thank you very
were in
much.
charge of it. and hope to do it again next year. Come back again.
I will.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much, John.
All right, that's our show for today. Tomorrow we have the president of the Fresno Teachers Association on the show talking about what else? Contract talks and more money. We're going to be back with another edition of Connect with Me tomorrow on MeTV Fresno.
More of me?
Me?
Go to MeTVFresno.com for schedules, information on your favorite shows, videos, pictures, and more. Go to MeTVFresno.com today.